Well, Julia Gillard is tonight a step closer to remaining Prime Minister, having secured the backing of Tasmanian independent Andrew Wilkie. The deal gives the government 74 votes in the new parliament, one more than the coalition. It delivers another blow to Tony Abbott, who's come under pressure over his policy costings. But with the three country independents undecided, power could still be delivered to either of the major parties. From Canberra, Susan McDonald reports.
Down the back with you.
He snatched a seat from Labor at the election. Now Andrew Wilkie is helping Julia Gillard cling to power.
I have judged that it is, in fact, the ALP that best meets my criteria, that the next government must be stable, must be competent and must be ethical.
The Tasmanian MP has agreed to back Supply and support Julia Gillard in a no-confidence motion, but that's where the allegiance ends.
I will approach every policy on its merits, every piece of legislation through the Parliament on its merits.
I thank Mr Wilkie for the decency and diligence with which he has negotiated this agreement.
The anti-pokies crusader has won a commitment from the government to crack down on problem gambling through the use of a smart card to limit bets. If the states don't oblige, the Commonwealth would step in.
Obviously, we need to take comprehensive legal advice. That's not something we can do in caretaker.
The deal also includes 2 extra staff for Mr Wilkie, time limits and crossbench questions in question time, regular meetings with the Prime Minister, a referendum to recognise Indigenous Australians in the Constitution and better protection for whistleblowers. For his electorate, there's $100 million for a Hobart hospital with the promise of millions more. Tony Abbott offered $1 billion, a figure the coalition says Andrew Wilkie told them was needed, but the generous offer worked against them.
But I very quickly came to the conclusion that it was almost a reckless offer.
The 3 undecided independents have taken note.
We were just joking that there's $1 billion on offer now because Andrew went the other way.
The bar has most certainly been raised.
Mr Abbott was prepared to give Mr Wilkie $1 billion for a proposal that should properly cost the Australian government about 1/3 of that. Now, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about Mr Abbott's credentials to be Prime Minister?
During the campaign, the coalition promised to improve the budget by $11.5 billion, but Treasury calculates the real improvement would be $4.5 billion at best, and at worst, just $1 billion.
That is $9 in every 10 of claim savings from the Liberals is inaccurate and wrong.
Our numbers are emphatically right. We stand by them.
The discrepancies helped make up Andrew Wilkie's mind, although Joe Hockey isn't surprised by his decision.
I think what Andrew Wilkie did was he went back to the mothership because he was a Greens candidate previously, and obviously it's a Greens-Labor Party alliance.
But Tony Abbott doesn't think his costings kerfuffle will affect his negotiations with the other crossbenchers.
The bottom line of that discussion is that the coalition will deliver substantially larger surpluses than the Labor Party.
I think it influences everyone's thinking.
Julia Gillard now needs to win over at least 2 of the 3 Bush independents to form government. The question is, will Andrew Wilkie's decision influence them?
No, David, it doesn't.
It doesn't influence me one way or the other.
Yes, it's a factor, but let's just see how the next few days unfold as well.
A funeral for an Australian soldier killed in Afghanistan will interrupt the negotiations, although the decision-making process for the independents will continue through the weekend. But before then, Rob Oakeshott is hopeful a bipartisan agreement can be reached on parliamentary reform. Susan McDonald, Lateline.